sadness, loneliness, depression. These were the feelings I had when I looked at the anime lineup for summer 2020. I mean, what the hell was there? Meh, no, 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 fuck no, maybe. Wait, that's it? What the hell am I supposed to watch? Wait, that'll work. I first watched ReZero in the fall of 2019, and to sum it up, it was pretty good. At the time, I never heard of ReZero. I didn't even know the premise of the show before I started watching it. I was just chilling in the main hall of my college dorm and my friend just asked me, "Have you watched ReZero?" Of course, I responded no, and then he just hooked up his laptop to the TV in front of me and my friends, and I just started watching it right there in the main hall. The first episode was slow at first, outside a few creepy cuts.
俺が必ず
It followed the typical isekai formula. A main protagonist wakes up in a fantasy world, shows off his OP powers. Wait, he doesn't have powers? Okay, whatever. Simps over some random girl that he finds, and then... Safe to say that from then on I was hooked, and I continued to enjoy ReZero up until the very end of the season. To sum it up, ReZero follows a character named Subaru who gets transported into another world and eventually finds out that he can, quote, return by death, which basically means that
I can return to a very specific point in time every time I die!
Why can he do this? Who knows? What determines his respawn point? Who knows? How many times will he die? A lot. If you haven't watched the show, it's best to hop in with as little information as possible. And if you aren't sure whether or not you should watch it, just watch the first 4 episodes, and if you aren't hooked by that time, you should probably stop. I wouldn't say it's a good first anime for newcomers to the genre, but if you're looking for a good fantasy show with great character writing, this is a show for you. It was definitely my favorite anime that I watched that year, but by no means was the show perfect. It did get slow at times, and Subaru was a bit annoying in the beginning of the show, but trust me, there are so many cool things that happen in the show that I refuse to even hint at. So if you haven't watched ReZero, click off this video, watch it, and come back when you finish. Because from here on, I'll be talking about Season 2, and it'll be almost impossible to talk about it without mentioning some spoilers for the first season. So go. Watch it. Are they gone? Okay, now, time to get to the good shit.
スバル
はい。
レムって誰のこと？
ごちそうさまでした。
Okay, despite the overabundance of Rem memes, I still think she's best girl even if she does only have one scene this season. Alright, Echidna cultists, calm down. At least we can all agree that Echidna is more useful than Amelia.
Right.
All kidding aside, I'm surprised to say that ReZero Season 2 improves itself in almost every category compared to the first season. One of the best aspects of the season is its pacing. No more overly long comedic scenes, no more cringe-worthy moments that go on forever, and no more of Subaru retracing his steps for 20 minutes only to finally discover something at the very end of the episode. In Season 2, every time Subaru needs to repeat certain events, they're always skipped, and the show makes sure to reveal key plot points throughout each episode, instead of just the end. The amount of content that's in each episode is ridiculous. I think the opening song only played 2 times this season, and that's most likely because White Fox wanted to cram in as much story as they could into their 27-minute time slot. There are some moments that feel slow, and I'll get into some of those moments later, but these don't happen that often, and there are plenty of scenes in each episode that more than make up for the dud bits of the show. There are also some great characters that are introduced this season, and some of them steal every scene that they're in. Some of the older characters also get some much deserved screen time that they didn't get previously. Thanks to the return by death mechanic, ReZero has the ability to show different sides of characters that we wouldn't normally see in any other anime. Although this plot device was used in the first season, I believe season 2 utilized it to its full potential. In season 2, the mechanic isn't only used to spew out plot twists, but it's also used to reveal and study Subaru's thought process when dealing with impossible odds. This season analyzes the costs and benefits behind Return by Death, and questions the effectiveness of Subaru's decision making. The show also makes sure to emphasize Subaru's altered philosophy and encourages viewers to ask if Subaru's taken a turn for the worse thanks to his quote-unquote immortality. Looking back, it's amazing how natural Subaru's progression was over the course of these seasons. He initially started as a whiny bitch who complained whenever he didn't receive praise from his beloved waifu Emilia, and he eventually became a badass hero who would do anything to prevent his friends from feeling the same pain he felt in his previous lives. How did Tappe Nagatsuki do this? I don't know. All I know is that it worked, and now Subaru is my favorite character in the show. It's obvious that Subaru is the most fleshed out character in this entire show, but I must acknowledge that Emilia's growth this season has also been significant. I originally hated her guts in the first season because Subaru put her on such a high pedestal, and for the low amount of screen time she had, it was almost impossible for her to live up to the standard that Subaru placed on her. You're telling me that Subaru did all of this for this chick? Why? Oh, I get it.
Fuck off, will you? Fuck off!
But now, without going into spoilers, I'm growing to like Emilia a lot, and I'm expecting greater development for her character in the second half of this season. It's almost a given that the animation for this arc has been incredible as well, and same goes with the soundtrack. I mean, come on, it's being produced by White Fox, the same studio that brought incredible anime like Cautious Hero, Akame ga Kill, and Steins Gate. If you've enjoyed the first season of ReZero and haven't started watching the second season yet, what's wrong with you? There's so much to enjoy in this first half that you'd have to have extreme willpower to wait until the end of winter 2021 to binge all 25 episodes of this season. Now, this is the end of the spoiler-free section of the video, and if you're one of those insane people that I just mentioned, I highly recommend clicking off of this video. I'll say it again, if you haven't caught up to the end of episode 13 of the second season, I'd suggest watching the rest of this video after you've finished.
And here we go.
Alright, from here on out I'm going to be giving my thoughts on each episode of the season so far. And since I'm lazy, I'm going to try to avoid a script because it's taking way too long to make this video. I'm sorry. I can't control myself. I'll keep editing as much as I can, but like this is taking way too long. Be sure to comment below what your thoughts are on each of my styles. I want to see which one you guys prefer. And while you're at it, might as well like and subscribe just to keep me motivated to make more videos in the future. Alright, let's get on with episode 1.
Move, run, run!
I think so.
Oh my god, I am going to commit suicide!
大丈夫？スバル、どうしたの？
レムはどうした？
スバル。レムって。誰のこと？
Episode 1. We started off pretty strong this season, not gonna lie. From the 3-year, 4-year hiatus ReZero was on, this was a pretty good opener. Although I watched it like in September, the first season, September 2019. I didn't have to wait that long, but I'm sure plenty of you guys suffered for sure. Anyway, yeah. Rem being Thanos snapped wasn't that surprising, to be honest, since they revealed it in the re-release earlier that year, the re-release of the first season. I remember them doing like a 13 episode run of the first season right before they were supposed to release the season 2 in, what was it, spring? Yeah, they were supposed to release it in spring, and then they delayed it a month because of, well, you know, COVID, quarantine, you know, sad. And unfortunately, looking at how characters are reacting to Rem being erased, we're probably not gonna go back to that conflict until maybe Arc 5, so that's season 3. Now, I don't know how long that's gonna take, maybe another 4 years. Hopefully not, but, you know. I mean, the stuff that we're covering this season's pretty good anyway, so we can wait for a little bit to get back to Rem. Are we going to still ignore the fact that Subaru can somehow still remember who Rem is? I mean, I'm sure the answer to this will be revealed at some point later on in the show, but Rem would have probably been thrown in the dumpster if it wasn't for Subaru recognizing her. I gotta admit, Rem was pretty stupid trying to fight those archbishops after they just massacred their entire army. I mean, that Regulus guy did warn her not to fight, but you know, Rem being Rem decides to fight anyway because, well, I guess there really was no good reason to.
言いたいことはそれで十分ですか？魔女教徒。
Well, alright then. Yeah, oh yeah. Crucia's arm got cut off like in an instant. That was pretty funny, not gonna lie. I thought she was gonna lose that arm forever, but you know, Felix is OP, I guess, when it comes to healing people. I can't see that shit happening all the time, though. I mean, when is someone going to get their arm cut off and it's going to be cut off permanently? Like, I don't think ever. I mean, it took a while for Felix to get there. Didn't they have to transport Crush all the way to her mansion just to get healed by Felix? And she was probably bleeding a lot the entire time on the way there. Wouldn't those people that had to pick her up also have to bring Crush's arm with them? Unless Felix can grow limbs out of nowhere, I think that'd have to be the case. But overall, the episode was really good. I mean, I wasn't too attached to Subaru's conversation with Crush and Felix, but that doesn't seem to be the popular opinion among ReZero fans. I mean, I could see why people would like it too, but I don't really care too much about Crush or Felix for that matter. I probably care more about Wilhelm than I do those two, to be honest. I'll talk more about Puck when I get into the later episodes, because it's better to talk about that with context and, like, what can you say right now? Oh, Puck told Subaru to take care of Amelia. Oh, we don't really know what that means yet until we get into the later episodes with more context, so yeah, I'll talk about that later. But other than that, there's not really much else to talk about, so let's get on with episode 2.
よっこいしょ。
スバルって当たり前みたいに私の隣に座るのよね。
なんかおかしかった？
最初はムズムズしたけど、今はそうしてくれないと変な感じだからいいの。
俺の涙ぐましい努力がついに実ったが、感無量だ。
またそうやって茶化す。
Okay, before I start talking about this episode, I have to acknowledge the fact that I really liked this episode in the first few viewings I had. Like, I know I watched, like, this episode, like, 2 to 3 times the week it came out, and I really liked it. In fact, I probably ranked it one of the best of the first 4 episodes, and probably the best. But after finishing around the first half of the season, a lot of the mystery in this episode just vanished, and that's one of the main aspects of the show that's so great. The mystery that the show introduces in this episode. I still like the episode, and I still think it's a great start to the season, but it's just not as good as I initially thought. Like, I thought I was going to like this episode a lot rewatching it, but turns out I really didn't. I like how Felix mentioned in the beginning of the episode that Subaru needs rest when he gets back to the mansion, like a few months of rest, but that's definitely not going to happen. I think he just came to this world a few weeks ago. I think all these events in the first season probably took place within just a few weeks, so...
2ヶ月か。 俺はこんなことを望んだんじゃ。誰かまあさすがにそんな続けて事件が起きたりは。
Yeah, that's definitely not gonna happen. And Amelia mentions that she has a few, quote, selfish reasons for participating in the royal selection. I mean, I still don't know too much behind Amelia's character, and again, I'm only talking about the material given to me from the anime, the show, not the specials or the OVAs or the movies. I don't know what you call that thing. I'm just taking what the anime is giving to me, and so far, I don't really understand Amelia's character at all. Oh yeah, Petra's attachment to Subaru is very disturbing, and I can't get over it. Some people think it's cute. To them I say, no the fuck it isn't. It's creepy though. It for sure. This freaking love triangle, or not even love triangle, she's not even a factor. Petra's attachment to Subaru is extremely creepy. I mean, it's understandable since she probably thinks that Subaru saved the kids from the mob beast single-handedly. Memories of Rem are like being erased. People are now thinking that Subaru saved the kids from the mob beast. Now Petra's thinking like, oh, Subaru's my savior. Yeah. And it's very frustrating. I hate this relationship right now. When I first watched this episode, I couldn't believe that we'd actually meet one of the witches this early on in the show. I thought that was like some late game shit. I thought that was like something that you'd see in like season 5 or like in the season finale of this season or something like that. I didn't think that they'd introduce Echidna this early. For the amount of information that episode 2 had to throw at us, they did it really well. I mean, it's just not that interesting to rewatch. I mean, I initially thought this episode was the best episode out of the first 3 to 4 episodes, but now it's probably just an average episode for this season. But then again, we're comparing this episode to the rest of the episodes in this season, and the rest of the episodes this season are really good and most of the time are actually perfect. I think I've said enough, so let's move on to episode 3.
ここを出るのが難しいってことはみんなも知らされてるっぽいな。だけど大丈夫。なぜならみんなを解放するために試練に挑んでくれる子がいるからだ。
それって
もしやスバル様が？
いや、俺でいいんならいくらでもやったんだけど。
I cry every time, dude. This is so stupid. As I was rewatching this episode, I was starting to understand why I liked this installment so much more than the last one. Even though both of them introduced many mysteries, this episode actually started answering questions. It didn't just scribble out a bunch of random unlinked clues without giving us some information as to what the big picture actually is. This time the show actually laid out one of the main objectives of the show: pass the trial and save the people in Sanctuary. Even though that might not be everything, we at least have some overarching conflict that the characters are currently trying to solve. Not to mention, we also get introduced to 2 of the best characters this season, Echidna and Garfield. These 2 are extremely unpredictable, and they both add a sense of intrigue that I don't really get from many of the other characters like Frederica or Otto. We do get some amount of development for Amelia, but I didn't think it was quite enough for me to actually give a shit. I know this take is unpopular, but when a character like Garfield does more notable things in one episode than Amelia does the entire first season, I know something is wrong. Many people would say that Amelia has more depth than a majority of the people on the show, and while I do agree with them, I think they forget the fact that depth alone does not make a character interesting. I'm not going to dwell on this point for too long since the show fixes this later on, but I thought it was important to mention that at this point, I did not care about Amelia at all, and I thought she was really bland and cliche. Outside of that, I don't think there's much to say that many people haven't already said about this episode. A lot of what I'm saying are just nitpicks. I wouldn't say that any part of this show is particularly bad. I'm just saying that they could be better. So with that being said, I think it's finally time for me to end the video. The main reason why I'm ending this video right now is so I can get your feedback on what style you guys prefer. This is also my first time making a video, so I want you guys to give me some suggestions for when I cover the rest of Season 2. I'll make sure to mention my thoughts on Puck, Otto, and Emilia later on, since I said earlier I'll talk more about them later. However, I am aware that my microphone is not being up to par compared to most of the videos that you probably watch on YouTube. After all, I am using a headset mic, so I'll try to make the sound quality the best I can for the time being. I plan on releasing videos on the rest of the first half, or up to episode 13, before the end of December, before the rest of the season airs. But emphasis on the word plan, because I don't want to make any promises. This is just something I'm doing for fun after all. And I think that's it. I believe I asked you this before, but once again, if you don't know already, subscribe so you don't miss my next video. So, yeah. Alright. See you guys in the next one.